Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well as always, and I'm back with another video, and this time it's gonna be a deck guide video for Seal Dragon Blockade Inferno, and that is one of the latest deck you can build from the latest set, which is set number 11, and this will be the first deck we will be featuring in the latest set. So without further ado, let's take a look at the deck list. Okay, so here's the deck list. As you can see, the starter we are going to be running is Conroe, just because in my opinion, Conroe is the best starter to run if you're playing Kagero, because you can search any grade 1 and most of the time you'll be searching your PG. And if you want to run the other Seal Dragon starter, which is Terrycloth, you can run him as well, totally up to you. So to start off this explanation, let's start off with the main card, which is Seal Dragon Blockade Inferno, and the skill is Linear Break 4. If you have 2 or more Seal Dragon in the soul, you can count plus 2 and retire all of your opponent grade 2, and this unit gain 10,000 power. And if you retire 3 or more rear guards using this effect, you get to draw a card. That means if you retire 3 grade 2 using this skill, you can draw 1 free card. Honestly, the draw card is not that big of a deal. The main key component of this skill is the retire your opponent grade 2 and the gain 10,000 power. So this is why I feel like this card is strong, because you can pretty much close the game up pretty easily. If your opponent's at 5 damage and they got 2 interceptor, you can just use this skill to count plus 2, retire all of their intercept, and you can push 3 or more damage through their face, and they need a bunch of PGs to survive, but most of the time they do not have those PGs, and you just win the game just like that. It's pretty simple. And if you notice our grade 3, we actually run Dauntless Dragon instead of the Seal Dragon BreakRide, which most people run with their Blockade Inferno. Because in my opinion, this is not a good BreakRide in general, because there's a lot of way to counter this. That's why I feel like Dauntless Dragon is a better pairing, because you can push for 4 attack to your opponent face in a single turn, rather than 3 damage. But do take note that you need to discard 3 cards to use this BreakRide skill, which is a restander. So that is why we run 9 draw trigger as well, if you notice. And of course, you run Blockade as well for a backup BreakRide, because for example, if you are on your Dauntless Dragon, which is going to be your first ride as grade 3, and if you don't have your Blockade Inferno, your normal blockage can close up the game as well, because it kind of does the same thing, just that it doesn't retire, but it prevents your opponent from intercepting. So it can still be a really good finisher. And of course, you play 1 Chocolate Dagger, cause why not? So for the grade 3, I will recommend 4 Blockade Inferno and 4 Dauntless Dragon. And for the other 5, you can play whatever you want. You want to play Chocolate Daggers, you want to play your Dual X Arch Dragon also can. It's totally up to you. But I still recommend playing a few copies of your original Blockade. You don't have to play this BreakRide, I just choose to run it just because I do want to show you guys the strength of this card. And okay, so for our grade 2, we actually run 1 Chain Attack Switzerland, just because it's just a one-off, you can play whatever you want. And I run 4 of this Seal Dragon card, which is kind of like a Berserk Dragon, but not really, because you can count plus 1 and without one of your opponent rear guard, and they look at the top 4 cards of their deck to superior call a random grade 2. But do take note that your Vanguard need to be Seal Dragon to use this skill. So once you go into your Dauntless Dragon during your grade 3 turn, this card is going to be dead. So do remember that. And also we run 4 10k vanillas for Seal Dragon, and also we run 4 11k attacker, which is pretty good in my opinion, because once you go to your grade 3, this is going to be 100% 11k attacker. And I say 100% is because my first ride will be either my Dauntless Dragon or my Blockade Inferno, or even this one-off copy of the Seal Dragon BreakRide. And all of them have Linear Break 4, so because of that, he's going to become 11k attacker. And if you notice, I don't run the Chocolate Attacker for Seal Dragon, just because my first ride I tend to ride Dauntless Dragon, as that is the game plan. And if you do that, your Chocolate Attacker for Seal Dragon will just be a 9k. That is why I highly recommend playing this card instead of the Chocolate Attacker for Seal Dragon. And for our grade 1, we run 4 Seal Dragon PG, we run 4 Drop Draw, we run 3 10k vanillas, and also we run 2 Joker, just because it does really good with Blockade Inferno, because Blockade Inferno retire your opponent rear guard, and this just gain free power. And if you retire 3 rear guard, this can become a 16k booster or even a 16k attacker. So this is why I feel like this card is really good in this deck. And if you notice, this deck have a lot of Seal Dragon, because you need 2 or more Seal Dragon in your soul to use your Blockade Inferno skill. That's why most of the time you want your grade 1 and grade 2 right to be Seal Dragon, and most of the time you are using this skill on your turn 2. Because if you run Seal Dragon, you can use this skill to retire your opponent's starter, and if they put their starter behind their Vanguard, that will be a huge misplay because having a grade 2 behind your Vanguard is useless. If you compare it to the right or left side column, at least they can still use it to intercept, but behind your Vanguard you can't do anything much. Okay, so that pretty much sums up for the deck list, and I have a total of 3 games to show you guys. The first game will be using this as the first ride. The second game will be how I want this deck to win, which is with your Dauntless Dragon. And then the third game will be a special scenario where you actually don't rely on any BreakRide and just win with your Blockade Inferno. So I'll have 3 timestamps in the description box down below, so you guys can choose whether you want to watch game 1 with the Seal Dragon BreakRide, or game 2 with Dauntless Dragon, or game 3 without any BreakRide. And I guess that's enough talking, let's take a look at some gameplay. Okay, so for the first game, it's gonna be Kagero versus Kagero. And sadly it's not a mirror match. It's gonna be Seal Dragon versus the End. So pretty interesting matchup, and my hand is pretty good honestly. I'm just missing my Blockade Inferno, so I did decide to mulligan the 1 card and keep the 2 Seal Dragon grade 2 is because I can use the skill on my turn 2. And since we are facing up against Kagero, their starter obviously will be Conro, and you want to retire their Conro because you don't want them to such a free PG. So the first few mistakes that I made while I start playing this deck is I write non-Seal Dragon card, where you actually should just write your grade 1, grade 2 Seal Dragon, but for your grade 3, it's fine if you miss your Seal Dragon because like I said, your first grade 3 should be Dauntless Dragon. But like I said, this game, I'm not going to be writing Dauntless Dragon because I want to show you guys how it's like playing with the Seal Dragon BreakRide instead of Dauntless Dragon, and you can decide for yourself which BreakRide is better. So here I did decide to pass my turn because like I said, I do not want to let my opponent use their Conro effect. Otherwise I can't burn it, and he's actually pretty smart because he put his Conro at his left column. Because if he put it behind his Vanguard, when he get retired using my Seal Dragon skill, his grade 2 is going to be useless behind his Vanguard column, so props to him. And he did decide to call a grade 2, which is pretty surprising because most of the time when you write Striker, you don't really want to deal any damage to your opponent. So I have really no clue why he clawed the Velocity Dragon down. And the most interesting part is he decided not to attack with it, and because of that, I can just write my grade 2 and just swing to the rear guard. And just pass my turn like that. Because by doing so, he still can't use his Conro, so I do not know why he called his Velocity down. And do take note, if I'm running Dauntless Dragon on my next turn, I can't really burn his Conro anymore. That is why I decide to write my Seal Dragon BreakRide. But like I say, most of the time you're going to be running your Dauntless Dragon as your first grade 3. So here, let's see. What's he going to write? Is he going to write Dragonic Overlord, or is he going to write Dragonic Overlord the End? Okay, so he did decide to go for the End play, which is fine because I don't really want to deal with a turning K base. It's going to be annoying, but it's not the end of the world. So here it's going to put me to 3, which is pretty good for him, but it's all good. So here he reaped a heal, so that's pretty good for us. And here I'm hoping for a draw or heal trigger. Okay, I did get a draw trigger, so that's pretty good. And we check a heal as well, so that's amazing. Okay, so now is our turn. It's pretty straightforward. Just gonna write the Seal Dragon BreakRide. Although I do have an option to go for the cross ride, but like I say, you don't really want to go for the cross ride in this deck. So I'm gonna retire my opponent Conro. But if you notice, I call my Joker and my Switzerland down, so I can make a perfect column to attack my opponent Vanguard. This way, if he get a trigger and I don't get a trigger, I can still guarantee to push him to 2 damage. And luckily for us, he did not get any grade 2 on his part. So Count Plus 1 Taiwan Rearguard is pretty good in my books, better than Berserk Dragon, so that is a lot of value there. And here I'm gonna move down my grade 2 since I can't attack his Nehalem. And here I'm just gonna push my opponent to 2 damage. Although I let him use his the end skill, which is the Persona Blast, but I think it's all good. So here he did get a trigger, so props to us for playing it safe. So here, like I say, there's a lot of ways to counter the Steel Dragon BreakRide. The first way is not call multiple Rearguards, because your Steel Dragon BreakRide skill is when once you BreakRide over, you can retire 2 of your opponent Rearguards and call 2 grade 2 from the top 4 card of the deck. But if your opponent don't call more than 2 Rearguards, your BreakRide is gonna be wasted in my opinion. And also, if you retire 2 of your opponent Rearguard and your opponent don't call any grade 2, that means you can't draw card with your Inferno skill. So here he called a DN. This tells me that he have another DN, otherwise he would not call it obviously. So here, I think it's gonna put me to 4 damage. Okay, the trigger there is really good for him because this guarantees me to 4 unless we check another heal trigger. And of course, I'm still missing my Blockade Inferno, so I'm hoping to draw into it soon. Because if you are playing the Steel Dragon BreakRide, you do not want to BreakRide using your Blockade. You want your Blockade Inferno so that you can draw a free card and also burn your opponent Rearguards. Okay, look, he's checking a lot of draw trigger, which is fine. I mean, I'd rather him checking his trigger during his Twin Drive than his damage check, because this way we can potentially push more damage. So here, let's see. Can we top deck our Steel Dragon Blockade Inferno? If I can, I might actually BreakRide. And I did not. So obviously I'm not gonna BreakRide because it's not worth. So here I'm just gonna call my other Steel Dragon down to retire his grade 1 back row, I think. Because that's what I would do right now. Okay, so I decided to drop draw first, okay. So I dropped my Dauntless because, like I said, your Blockade can be your backup win condition. So I did draw into my Blockade Inferno, so that's good. That means I can BreakRide next turn. So like I said, did retire his grade 1. And he didn't get any grade 2, which is fine, I guess. But I'd rather him get a grade 2 there. This way I can draw a free card using my Inferno skill during next turn. Okay, a draw trigger, that's really good. That means we can put him to 4 and potentially close up the game next turn. But first we need to survive another turn to actually have a potential chance to win. And check a heal, which he can't heal, so that's really good. And he only left 1 more DN in his deck, so I don't think he has it. And again, like I said, your Steel Dragon BreakRide, the best 2 target to burn is your opponent boosters, and if they don't call out boosters, it's just really awkward in my opinion. That is why I don't recommend this. But in the end, it's totally up to you. You guys can decide for yourself after watching this game and the Dauntless Drive Dragon game. So here he called out a Berserk Dragon and he burned my grade 2. That means he can push for more damage. But luckily we have our PG, that means we can survive. And he got 2 Rearguards for us to burn, so if he get 2 grade 2, when we BreakRide, we can draw 1 free card. But if drawing a free card that big of a deal, in my opinion it's not, and I do realize that my opponent did a misplay here because he shouldn't call the boosters behind his Vanguard, because this way he can't heal if he check the heal, because he wants to swing with his Vanguard first when he's at 4 and when I'm at 4. So a slight misplay from my opponent part, but again, if he can survive this turn, most likely he's gonna win this game. So here I draw another heal, so that's pretty sad. So I'm just gonna BreakRide my Steel Dragon Blockade Inferno here and retire his grade 3 and grade 2, because there's no reason to retire his grade 2 since my Inferno have the skill to do so. And if he don't even get any grade 2, that means I'm not gonna draw a free card sadly. But we did still retire 2 Rearguard, and we retire another rearguard with Inferno skill. That means we retire 3 rearguard and our Joga is at 16k power, so that's really good. Because of that, we can guarantee to make him drop 2 PG, even if he get a trigger. And here, if he got 2 PG, I'm just gonna lose the game. It's pretty straightforward here. And I'm pretty sure I have no more heal trigger as well. So we get a double draw. Not really that good. And it's not necessary as well, because we have no more rearguards to give powers to. So here he do have his 2 PG, that means yep, that is game for us. And the first round we actually lost. But if you think about it, if the BreakRide is Dauntless Dragon in this situation, we might have won because he will need another PG to actually survive. And yeah, I guess we lost this game, and I don't think we should waste any more time looking at this game because I feel like I show you guys the strength and weaknesses of the Steel Dragon BreakRide at this point. So let's move on to the next game. Okay, so our second opponent is going to be Narukami, and that is another matchup where you want to burn your opponent's starter, but sadly we go second. Like I said, you want to go first if you want to burn your opponent's starter. So here I'm just going to keep my grade 2 in Steel Dragon and grade 1 Steel Dragon and just throw the rest away because I'm looking for cards like Dauntless Dragon, Blockade Inferno, PG maybe. I might not even keep PG honestly because I can just search it in control. But I'm not gonna lie, this is an interesting matchup, as you're going to see what is going to happen when he goes into his grade 3 turn. It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. So here you see my hand is pretty decent. It's not the greatest because I don't have the ideal grade 3 to ride. And we did get our Steel Dragon. I'm just gonna call that card Steel Dragon Berserk. How about that? Because it's kind of like a Berserk Dragon. And because I draw that, I did decide to pass my turn. But if I don't draw that, I actually might attack. So do take note. So here he's just gonna run his grade 2, and is he gonna deal the damage to me? Because if he does, his starter is gonna get retired. And he did decide to pass his turn, which is fine, because I can just run my grade 2 Inferno grade 3, not grade 3, my grade 2 10k vanilla, and just pass my turn, because I really want to use my Chrono skill, because against Narukami, they have cards like Gauntlet Buster which can rack up like 3 critical in a turn. You do want to have your PG in your hand, otherwise you might just die. So I'm just gonna pass again because I value my Chrono a lot. And then again, I'm still looking for my Dauntless Dragon. So here he did ride his Gauntlet Buster like I predicted. And the interesting thing is he did decide to pass on his turn 3. That means he's not going to get any Twin Drive. And I was like, okay fine, we can play the pass game, that's all good. So here I did decide to ride my BreakRide. I think I ride my BreakRide. I can't really remember, but I think I should ride my Blockade because I can go for a 30k base, but I guess all good. So like I said, this game is the game where I win with Dauntless Dragon. But you might be wondering, where's the Dauntless Dragon? It's gonna come soon, trust me. So here I pass, because I'm just gonna play the passing game with him. I do not want my Conroe to get retired. And here, he's gonna pass again, like what the heck? Are we gonna play the passing game until someone give in? And I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna lose in this passing game, so I'm just gonna pass again, and again, and again. And of course I draw my Dauntless Dragon, that means I can just override it if I want to, which I am going to do so. But first, let's look at this ridiculous gameplay of us passing. Look, he's gonna pass again. Okay, so I'm just gonna ride my Dauntless Dragon and pass. We can play this game all day long. But the only bad thing about riding Dauntless Dragon is I can't retire my opponent's starter if I want to, because it's not Steel Dragon anymore. Okay, so he did decide to ride his BreakRide instead, which I think is a good play. And he passed again. Surprise, surprise.
Much later.
Okay, so finally he decided to call a bunch of rear guard because he don't have a choice, otherwise he's gonna start milling cards from his hand because he reached the maximum number of cards in his hand, which is 9. So here he can push me to 3 if he get a trigger, but his attack order is wrong. So I guess he can only push me to 2. But he didn't get any trigger, so I don't think it matters that much as well. So here I'm like, okay, finally we can play a real game, so I'm just gonna, you know, use my combo skill to search my PG because I still don't have my PG at this point, so that kinda sucks. So I'm gonna call one card down first, otherwise I'm gonna mill my PG because I'm at 9 cards at the moment. And then, since we have so much card in our hand, we can just call 2 Interceptor and just push as much damage as we possibly can. And there's no reason to call our Steel Dragon Berserk just because we can't use the effect. And if you are running Dauntless Dragon, you want to save your Steel Dragon Berserk once you BreakRide, because once you BreakRide, and if your opponent have 2 Grade 2, you can just use your Steel Dragon Berserk to get another Grade 2 from your opponent deck, and then use your Blockade Inferno skill to retire 3 Grade 2 and then draw a free card. And that free card might come in handy because sometimes you might not have 3 hand cards to use your Dauntless Dragon effect. So that's why you kind of need to rely on your draw trigger as well. There will be games where, you know, you don't have your draw trigger, most of them are in your deck, or you just keep drawing your trigger. That's where you find yourself in a pretty hard situation to win because you can't use your Dauntless Dragon effect efficiently. So here he only called 1 Grade 2, that means I can push for more damage, so that's pretty good. I feel like the best way to counter your opponent if they are playing Blockade Inferno is to call as many Grade 2 in the early stages so that when they BreakRide, you don't have any more Grade 2 for them to retire. And here he's gonna burn my Grade 1, so let's see which one he burned. And as you can see, 2 PG in the damage zone, Jesus Christ. So he did decide to burn my Grade 1 behind my Vanguard, which is interesting because he don't want to give me a perfect 21k column. But that's pretty good for me because, to me, the important thing about your board is you want to have boosters at your left and right hand column, if you can. Otherwise, just 1 column is fine. And here, I don't really have a choice. I can't really save my Steel Dragon Berserk any longer because I need interceptors. Otherwise, he's just going to push me to 5 damage, and I can't have that. So here, I'm hoping to get at least 1 trigger so that I can hit him to 3 damage. And we check the heal, which is huge. I feel like the heal just turned the table, so now it's gonna be 2 to 3, so that's really good on our part. You get a draw, which is fine. And here I'm trying to set up a turn where I BreakRide and I guarantee to win the game because that's what you want to do with Dauntless Dragon. Once you BreakRide over the Dauntless Dragon, you want to win on that turn. Because if you don't, most of the time your opponent is going to finish you off. So here again, he only called 1 Grade 2. So at this point I was thinking, does he have a lot of Grade 3 in his hand or does he have a lot of PG in his hand? It's probably both. So here we are going to go back to 3 damage, which is fine. This is a pretty long game, so do bear with me. Okay, so no trigger there, which is fine. So now I'm hoping for Grade 2s. Otherwise, if I don't get Grade 2s, we actually might lose to a BreakRide Descendant. So we did top deck 1. And here, I'm at a situation where if I don't have 2 Grade 2, and if I put my opponent at 4, he can BreakRide Descendant, and then just win the game because I only got 1 PG. And if he BreakRide Descendant, I need 2 PG to survive, and that is why I decided to call my drop draw, and hoping to draw into a Grade 2. So here I call it at my right hand column because if I don't draw it, at least I still have 1 column, but I did draw it. So I'm just going to retire my Grade 1 and call another Grade 2. So it's hard to justify if this is a misplay or not because like I said, if I don't get a Grade 2, the booster can be on my right hand column, but if I did get a Grade 2, the booster is wasted. But in the end, I don't think it's that big of a deal. So here I just call 2 Grade 2s and hope pushing to 5, because if you're at 5, there's no way you can survive a BreakRide Descendant. Not BreakRide Descendant. There's no way you can survive a BreakRide Dauntless Dragon with a Blockade Inferno unless you have all 4 PGs in your hand. And that is super unlikely. And that is why I really think that Dauntless Dragon is a good pairing with your Blockade Inferno. So here, let's see. He's probably gonna BreakRide, but if you break Descendant, we are gonna survive either way, so I think it's fine. So here he BreakRide Gauntlet Buster. So if I don't have a PG, obviously I'll be dead. But that is why we play the passing game so that I can get a PG using my Control skill. And he can do something pretty interesting, which is use Gauntlet Buster skill to get 3 criticals and make me drop my PG and stay at 3 this way. I can't BreakRide and he would have survived, but for some reason he decided not to do that. And he decided to go into 4 or even 5. And he did check the PG, that means he don't have all 4 PG, and that equals a win to us. Because you need 4 PG like I mentioned. Or unless you 6 damage shield, I guess that works as well, but you know, it's not likely. So here we'll just win the game. We'll just write our Blockade Inferno here. And even though he got 1 Grade 2, we still want to use your Inferno skill because you want to retire Opponent Interceptor. And here I'm just gonna call 2 Beer Guards down because we still have 2 Draw Trigger in our deck and we only left 9 cards. So even if we don't get a Draw Trigger, we can still discard our PG and still stand. And this is how you want to win most of the time if you are playing an Inferno deck. And if your opponent has 4 damage, you can still win if they don't have like 3 PG in their hand. So here I did get a draw trigger like I predicted because the odds of us checking draw is pretty high. And here we can discard 3 cards and we can still save 1 PG in our hand, although it doesn't really matter because even if he did 6 damage shield we can't survive anyways since we have no more heal trigger. And if you notice, we still have 2 more counter blasts to work with, and that is why we don't run Velocity Dragon, because like I say, most of the time when you use up the counter blasts are turns where you actually finish off your opponent, like right now. So here he didn't check a heal, that means game 2 go to us. So you guys have watched game 1, which is the Steel Dragon BreakRide, and now game 2, which is the Dauntless Dragon BreakRide. So let me know down below in the comment which BreakRide do you think is better to pair with the Blockade Inferno. And I guess this pretty much sums up for game 2, so now let's take a look at game 3. Okay, so for game 3, my opponent is gonna be Aqua Force, and if you know, Aqua Force have a lot of great tools, and that is why I feel like this is a good matchup. And here, pretty good hand, I can just monitor my Dauntless Dragon and I'm set to go because I got a grade 1 Steel Dragon to ride, a grade 2 Steel Dragon to ride, and of course I got the main grade 3 you want to ride, which is Dauntless Dragon. So here he's not playing the new Reaper deck, which is pretty cool, because I still feel like Maelstrom is still better, in my opinion. So here, our hand is looking not the best because we got 2 heal in our hand, you never want that. Okay, so he put his starter at the left hand side, which is interesting because now he will need a booster and he does have a booster. And I guess he can start drop draw now, which is pretty cool. That means he's probably looking for some cards, but I have no clue what he's looking for. And he played Transcore Dragon, so that's pretty interesting. So here I'm hoping to top deck a grade 2 Steel Dragon so that I can use my Steel Dragon Berserk skill to retire his starter. or even his booster behind his Vanguard. Both are good targets to retire. But I did not top deck it, so we don't really have much to do here besides running our Grade 2 Seal Dragon and use Control Effect to search for a PG. You don't really want to use your Control Effect in the late game because during your turn you will Twin Drive or Drive Check a lot of non-trigger and they will stack at the bottom of your deck. That is why you don't really want to shuffle your deck in the late game. And that's 1 PG down for our opponent, so that's pretty good to see. And here, it's gonna start to get scary because he's gonna start rushing me to potentially 4 damage. Just take a look. And if he got a 4th attacker, his Vanguard is gonna be 20k column. And the fact that he just used his starter skill tells me that he probably have a 4th attacker. So here he got his Basil. Let's see what you got. Okay, he have a 10k vanilla. Penguin Soldier, that's so good. Damn. You pretty much have the dream Grade 2 turn. But you know, you're facing off against Blockade Inferno deck. Do you really want to commit so many Grade 2 for me to retire? That's the real question. And he caught another Grade 2. So if you notice, his board have 3 Grade 2. And if he push me to 4 damage, you should ask yourself, do you want to BreakRide? Because if you don't, you can just write your Inferno skill. You can just write Inferno and just use the skill. And retire half of his board. And draw a free card. How can you pass on that? So here you see he'll push me to 4. And if I get a trigger there, we'll stay at 3. And if I had 3, I'll probably have ride my Dauntless Dragon, but because he pushed me to 4, that is why I decide to not go for the BreakRide and ride my Blockade Inferno instead. Because it's too good to pass, to be honest. Retire 3 rear guards and draw a card for 2 counter blasts, guys. 2 counter blasts. And we draw Joker, that's even better. Damn, the Joker draw is really good. And of course, you get to draw a free card using his Vanguard skill and his starter skill. That's 2 cards, and you can drop draw as well. So I'm pretty sure he got most of the cards he's looking for. The perfect Grade 3 to ride, a backup 4th attacker. So I'm hoping for a Grade 2. That's what I'm hoping for. And we did have our Grade 2, so that's really good. And we still got 1 more draw thanks to our Blockade Inferno effect. So here we are just gonna liberate, but do remember to call your Joker first, because it's gonna be a 16k booster. Jesus Christ, 16k. And we draw a draw trigger. That is not the greatest, but it's all good. And a 16k pair with 11k? No, pair with a 10k, I guess it's fine. 26 column is good enough, I guess. So if you ever run out of your Counter Blast, you still have your Blockade as BreakRide, as a backup. And that's why I decided to hold on to my Blockade first. And here I am guaranteed to push him to 4 damage because he can't heal, and if he get a defensive trigger, it doesn't really gonna matter. And we didn't check any trigger, so pretty sad, pretty sad. I'm hoping for a heal trigger. But since I pushed my opponent to 4, is he gonna BreakRide or is he gonna ride his Maelstrom? Let's take a look. Double draw. Pretty good for him, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. Okay, so look like he did decide to go for his Maelstrom, right? And it's gonna be annoying because he can burn my booster, and I only have one more booster in my hand. And I'm pretty sure he has a 4th attacker because he draw his Dauntless. That means he probably have another one. Yep. So here, can he win on this turn? I think no, he can't. If he get a trigger, he might be able to win. You know what? I think he misplaced a few rear guards. Now I'm looking at his field. Let me check a heal. That's pretty amazing. I mean, we have 2 more heals in our deck, I think. I feel like his 10k vanilla should call behind his Dauntless. This way, if I don't check a heal, and he check a trigger, he can make me drop 2 PG instead of 1, but by doing so, he can't use his Maelstrom Limit Break. So it's a hard decision to make. Do you want to use your Limit Break or do you want to finish off your opponent? But I guess because I checked the heal, his play is alright. He didn't really get punished. Okay, so he checked a PG, so that's 2 PG gone. That means he might only have maybe 1 or 2, or maybe even 0. I have no clue, honestly. But what our job is to burn my opponent rear guard and push them to death. And that's what I'm gonna do. And goodbye, Joker, sadly. Otherwise, we can guarantee a 5th damage. No, a 6th damage. Because if we get a trigger and we don't, he might survive. Oh, that's our 3rd heal, so we have no more heal in our deck. So it's either we win on this turn or we just lose. So I'm just gonna Limit Break using our Inferno skill and just hope to close up this game. Doesn't really matter what I call here. I can call Blockade or Dauntless Dragon, doesn't really matter. I just need an attacker. And he didn't get a trigger, and that's his 3rd PG. So there is a chance. No, we just won. Because that's his 3rd PG, even if he got another PG, he can't survive because he needs 2 to survive. And that's game. So, if you rush Blockade Inferno, this is what's gonna happen to you. Your board is gonna get burned up, and I'm gonna get a lot of value and just push you to death. And yeah, that's pretty much how you play this deck in my opinion. And I guess this concludes the video. So, same as always, do make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know about your thoughts about Seal Dragon. Do you think it's tier 1? In my opinion, I think it's high tier 2. I think it's a really good deck. It might have potential to go to tier 1 because it's a really good deck. Like you see, you can win matches pretty easily if your opponent don't know how to deal with it. And if your opponent just don't have PGs, you can just win the game because you just burn their grade 2s and they don't have any defense if they don't have grade 2 on the board. And yeah, I guess this should be it. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for next video. Goodbye.